Good morning, afternoon, evening, FlossTube. I'm Jules. Thanks for coming back to watch another video. It is December 21st. Like 4 days to Christmas. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. It feels like, I think today is like the last crazy Christmas day, and then after that everything's going to settle down. So happy that Christmas is on a Monday this year, so we all get 3-day weekend, which is awesome, but definitely going back to work on Tuesday. So after taking the better part of a week and a half off from work, it was nice to get back in and get into a regular routine. So it helps me focus to be in a routine. But all right, so apparently I didn't show a t-shirt last week, or maybe it was the week before, but I got called out on it. So I'm gonna show you this t-shirt because this is one of my favorite ones. It says, "I like to party," and by party I mean cross stitch. And this thing is so super comfortable. It is like, I don't know what kind of cotton it is, but what kind of cotton blend it is, but it is like, it's actually like it's too thin for me to be wearing today because it is cold. I'm looking out the window right now and it is very cold. It's like 20 degrees outside, and it has been snowing some here in Denver. Little tiny flurries right now. Not going to get too much, maybe if we're lucky an inch, but it's supposed to snow the rest of the morning. I don't think we're going to collect too much because these flakes are really too small. But I do have to go out this morning. I got to go get my car an overdue oil change and whatnot, and my tires rotated. I had a flat tire, what day was it? I don't know, last Friday or something like that. It was like the night before we were supposed to take my mom into the airport, and as I was pulling into the subdivision, there was like all this debris on the road that looked like there had either been an accident or an explosion or something, because there's just this different debris, and it was one of those things where you couldn't really quite see what it was until you were right on top of it. And it didn't feel like I ran over anything big or anything like that, but as soon as we got, as soon as we pulled into the driveway and got out of the car, you just heard this massive hissing sound. And I mean, it was so loud. I thought like my neighbor had like their hose on or something, but it was a big piece of, I'm gonna just call it shrapnel, that ended up in the tire, because it was a big piece, and it was like a hard metal. So I don't know how that ended up on the road, but I took out the tire and we had to go get a new one. And so I want to get the Honda guys to go take a look at that and make sure everything's cool. So I'm kind of a Honda person. I like reliability in my cars, and I've had my last couple cars have been Hondas, and I'm not a car person. I like my cars to last me 15 plus years if possible, and so that's what I'm looking for with this car. So but anyway, so I got to go out and do that today. I might be picking up a little bit outside, but all right, so recap the mom's visit real quick. It was great. We had so much fun. We did a lot. I was exhausted by the time she went home. I think Saturday I slept and just relaxed, and well, I had to go to work, but it was just a lot of fun. And I did I splurged a little bit for her to go home. I actually got her a business class ticket, or I upgraded her to a business class ticket. Now, it sounds expensive, but it really wasn't. I got the flight cheaper than normal anyway. It was just when I bought it, how it came out, it was, it just came out cheaper, because Denver to Atlanta is so frequent of a flight that it's never that expensive. But the day before, when I went to check in for her, they had all these business class tickets, which is like first class, business class tickets available, and it was only $89 to upgrade. Now, it sounds like a lot, and that's a lot of money. I understand that. But the thing is that it included a checked bag, so that's like $40 right there. It also basically was expedited check-in and security process and whatnot. So like when we showed up to the airport Saturday morning really early, there was probably like 100 people backed up in the United line. And it was like long. I mean, it was like down the hallway kind of long. And because we had gone first class, we got to bypass all that, walk all the way down to the end where there was no waiting, there was no line, to just go ahead and check in, check her bag, everything was cool, And then security, because again, she did business class, it was, and security was not that bad, but it, you know, probably would have taken her 25 minutes or whatever to get through. And because she got a pre-TSA security screening pass, it allowed her to go into this shorter line and bypass all that. So it took her like 5 minutes to go through security. So, you know, the most frustrating and stressful parts of being at the airport were just a breeze. And she really liked being pampered in business class too. So I think I might have created a monster there, and she may ask me for first class from now on. But no, I'm just teasing. She won't do that. But I always try to do it whenever I can for her. And I've only ever done that once. I upgraded on a flight from Atlanta to Denver because I had been, I don't know, I think I was just really stressed and tired, and I wanted to sleep comfortably on the way back, and that's all I did. I spent extra money basically just to have a nice sleep all the way back. But so, but she was very fortunate in her travels. It was, you know, when she came out here from Atlanta, she flew out like about 12 hours before that blizzard hit them. And blizzards in northern Georgia in December are like unheard of. And her house got 8 inches while she was gone, which is just ridiculous. In the 20 years that I lived in that house, grew up in that house, we never got 8 inches total of snow the whole 20 years. So that was crazy. But she missed all of that, didn't have to deal with it. And then when she went back, she flew in on Saturday. And on Sunday, that airport, that Atlanta airport, which is the largest and busiest airport in the world, suffered a massive power failure. Some sort of maybe a fire underground that controlled one of the main lines that runs to the airport. I don't really know exactly how that works, but basically it was like about midday, and they canceled so many flights and postponed so many flights, and there were thousands of people stranded. And it extended into Monday. So I'm so grateful that we somehow missed both of those crazy events, and she had a great trip and everything was awesome. So since she went home, I have been able to get back into my cross-stitching routine, although I did some while she was here for sure, but I've done more you know, since she's been gone, is because we've gotten back into our routine. So let's go run through our whips here. Some I got a little bit on, some I got a lot done on, but I'm trying to think of what I want to start first. I'm just going to start with E Pluribus Unum. I was working on this last night, and I'm keeping it in the hoop for right now because I'm going to take it with me when I go to the place for my oil change and whatnot. I'm going to work on it there. So, but I got a little bit more done. I just basically filled in this a lot more, and then I'm up here working on these little motifs that I messed up. I did a stitch with me and had to frog all this, but I'm going to get all that done, but I'm going to make a lot more progress on this one. You notice my small frames. I went out, I don't remember if it was Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but I went out and got like 3 more small frames because these are my preferred size frames to stitch on. And I'll actually show you, because it looks weird, but I find it more manageable, and part of it is just the history of the carpal tunnel that I've had, and part of it is my neck, and I just find like holding onto a smaller, lighter thing is just a lot easier for me from just a physical standpoint. I wish I could use, wish Q-snaps were easier for me, but it just doesn't work for me. I have tried them and it hasn't, and I ended up getting rid of them after like a week because I just couldn't deal with it. But so that's that. So there we go. Alrighty, so there's that one. I'm going to show you the football piece. I got a little bit more done on that. This is the one that I am worried about in terms of what the pilgrim's face is looking like, and I got more done on it. I'm not done with it yet, but I got more done on it. So I'm going to hold it back here and see if, because it always seems like it looks better, like you can see the finished version better when you're looking at it from on this camera. So let's take a peek here, guys. Well, that doesn't look bad, does it? Not done yet, but I thought he was looking like a lizard face. If you look at him from up close, I was like, he's got a lizard face! but I think he's got a little bit of a, I can see where his chin is, you know, I can see where that chin is there on him. So I just need to find the rest of the little colors there, finish the face up and see what I've got, and see if it's enough for me to want to continue, or, and it'll probably be totally fine. You know, there's been a project or two that I have, sorry, I just got a text from my husband on my screen about the traffic being super slow out there, but the roads are not bad. It's just people are driving super slow. But anyway, it covered up my screen while I was filming here. So, but anyway, you know, there are times when you start doing a cross stitch and you're just like, it doesn't look good at all. And then you have to look at it like from afar or take a picture of it sometimes. And that suddenly makes you see things the way they're supposed to be. So I'll get a little bit more done on that, and we'll see what that looks like when more of it's filled in. I'm going to show the, so I started working on the Stormtrooper piece again, and I don't have a picture of it. I have a picture of the Stormtrooper piece on my blog, because I did a blog piece on the Stormtrooper piece, I think, and anyway, it's on there. But I got a little bit more done on it. I did the stitch with me on it, and I didn't get very far. Let me see, which way is this? Okay, it's this way. I didn't get very far. I don't need to show too much of this because the fabric is huge. But I just got that far done. And I know you can't really tell what it is. If you go, like I said, if you go to the blog, it'll show you like what the picture actually looks like. I need to print the picture out again. It always pains me to print out the pictures because it's like, oh, I'm using so much ink when I do it, but I need to do that. That was a good suggestion by, I'm sorry, I forget. I always forget who gives me the good suggestions, or even the bad ones, but no, everybody gives good suggestions, I'm sorry. They said that, you know, I should have, where I'm trying to come up with an idea of having, I don't even have them with me, my projects on a card, and then maybe print out a tiny picture of them, and also put them on that card or put them on the back of the card or something like that for inspiration. And that's a good idea. It's just whether or not I can actually get that done. But I do need to organize. I do need to organize so bad so I know what I have, so I know what I need to work on. And we're going to get to that here in a few minutes. But Ronnie Row. I did make some progress on Ronnie Row. Oh, and so when I did the stitch with me, I also had somebody that said that they didn't think that the Stormtrooper piece was a good piece to do a stitch with me, and I would agree with that. It's too light, it's hard to see what the pattern's going to be, and I think going forward, definitely just want to stick with things that are more visible. I just was really excited to work on the Stormtrooper piece that day, and so I thought, well, let's just get started on it. And it was good for me, because I did work on it after the stitch with me and made more progress, but I don't think that is, unless I get to a point where you can see what I'm doing a lot more clearly, but not right now, of course, not right now. All right, Ronnie Row. Here it is in all its glory. Can you see the whole thing? Good. Okay, so what I got done this week was, I believe, I just filled in more down here and got a little bit more done up here. So, and I'm actually quite excited because I think I realized that, let's see, what is roughly halfway? I think, sorry guys, I think it's only like about here, which is going to be the end of this page. So I'm over halfway on page 3, which I know it sounds crazy that it's page, whoops, sorry, that it's page 3 on this, but isn't this beautiful? It's so pretty. But yeah, there's only 4 pages on this piece, and you know, when I did my cross-stitching video about how to do large full coverage cross-stitching projects, you know, if you have budget concerns and, you know, and you don't, you know, you like cross-stitching, but, you know, some of the kits are more expensive and just some different things, you know, the thing is that you can buy a Ronnie Row piece for $10, and comes with, you know, just the pattern and pictures and all that. The only floss you're using is 310, so you can literally spend $1 and get a couple skeins of that, which will last you for quite a while. And the fabric you can buy, this is just 18 count, you know, you can buy just a regular roll of that, which depending upon the sale, I mean, it's, again, you can get it like Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Not necessarily if you don't live near a stitching store. If you live near a stitching store, I would have them cut it and serge it for you, which would be a little bit more expensive. But you can buy a roll of this for, honestly, probably about $10, maybe a little bit more, and cut it to your specifications. Now you can see where I use tape. This is an old project. I've had this for years, and this was back when I taped it. And I know people are, you know, get kind of, there's such a, I don't want to say controversy, but there's different thoughts of the tape is fine, no, the tape is terrible, but you know, the tape is fine. And if you you know, if you want to do it that way, you can. It's the way a lot of people did it for a lot of years. And so, but you know, I mean, so you're looking at spending less than $25 for something that will literally take you months to do. And you know, I'm a big fan of that, and what you end up with is just a beautiful piece of work. And so you know, if you, because I mean, cross stitching can be expensive if you buy a lot of kits, if you buy a lot of the accessories, if you buy a lot of specialty fabrics or floss, you can spend a lot of money on it. And my money is spent on fabric and patterns, but I don't use a lot of specialty floss. On the E Pluribus Unum I do. That's I forget what kind of floss it is. It's not a silk or anything, but anyway, I'm just, you know, in case, you know, you're trying to figure out like what's the most economical way, you know, if money's tight, which it is for a fair number of people. That's one way that you can kind of help yourself out and still enjoy cross stitching. So Rainy Waterloo Place. Let's show Rainy Waterloo Place. Whew, I got some more work done on it. It's still so much fun. I love this thing. All right, here it is. So it doesn't, I mean, you know, every time I do this, it's like, have you gotten any more, I mean, seriously, did you get any more done on it? And I did, I'm telling you. I spent a night working on it. So I just got a bunch more done over here and filled in some more up here. So you can see what I have left to do on the page, and I'll probably work on some today, but this will be, you know, I'll be trying to get that page done, and but see what I can do about that. But I still love it. It's still awesome. All right, now Old World Map 2. I did work on it a fair bit, and I'll show you. I'm leaving the hoop on it because I got the hoop exactly where I want it, and I don't want to move it because it's exactly where I want it, and I don't think it'll really matter to show you guys sort of the progress. And also to show you, you look at this, all the fabric that I have for this, and the fact that I'm using a tiny little hoop seems weird, and I am weird. But again, it comes back to how I sit and work on this, how I like to do it, and I'm just somebody that likes to hold on to a hoop. Q-snaps would work fine. The frames, the standing frames that people love to use would work excellent on it. But what I tend to do is I tend to just work on this little spot, which helps me focus. And then as I'm working on it, hold on, stand by. I just keep the rest in its bag. So I just literally sit this on my lap, and I only have this much out, so it keeps it cleaner. But you can see kind of the progress that I made this week. It's a little easier, I think, when I show it in the hoop to show what I've done. But I filled in a lot more here and just moved up this way. I got a lot of that filled in last week, and so now it's just basically the rest of the mountain area here. But making some good progress. Like I said, I worked on it a fair bit this week, and I can see the mountains coming through on it. So, but I was sitting here I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll finish this page by the end of the year. No, I won't. No, I won't. There's just no way. But there's that. Old World Map 2. Is that it for whips? I think that's it for whips. my brain's gone. So I took all those projects in a week ago to the framers I just took them into Michael's to frame, and they thought they would get back to me today and have them done, which I thought was a bit of a stretch. I'm like, really? Like 1 week? Are you kidding me? I don't think so. All those projects? I don't think so. So I kind of doubt I'll have them today, but I'll have them for next week's update. I'm pretty sure I would, so it's not a big deal. The only thing was I had my present for my friend's little girl. Well, not little, she's 10, 11 now. But I had she believed she could, so she did. That project is for her, and I'm actually seeing them tonight. They have flown in from California, and my husband and I are going to go have dinner with them. And I thought it would be great if I actually had that to give to her, but I'm not going to have it. That's fine, no big deal. I'll just mail that to them. But they're from California, and they've had quite the adventure because they live north of Santa Barbara. So a lot of the fires and everything that have been going on there have been quite crazy. They had like school closed for days because the smoke was so bad that they wanted to keep the kids inside the houses and whatnot, and it's just been crazy out there. And when I went and visited them like a year and a half or so ago, it was my first trip to Southern California as an adult. And I drove up the 101 or Highway 1 up the coast, and it was just so beautiful, the whole area was. And to think that a lot of what I saw is now fire ravaged it's super sad. I mean, it's going to come back, of course, but it's just crazy. But all right, few updates on some other things. So I'm done with most of the stitching stuff. I'm still going to talk about stitching at the end, but for those of you who follow my fish channel, will be aware of the immense drama that took place this week with the fish. If you don't follow my fish channel, I'll have a link up here. But when I started my saltwater tank like 10 days ago, I put a fish in there and I put a coral in there. Well, it's really not a coral. It's more of technically it's not a coral. But anyway, and I have been hovering over this tank now for the last 10 days. When I put the fish in, it didn't look good to begin with. It's called it was a tricolor fairy wrasse, wrasse. It's spelled W-R-A-S-S-E. And it's a very shy fish. It's a very easily skittish, scared fish. Probably not the best fish for me to start with. When I put him in the tank, he immediately went down like at the bottom of the rock and burrowed into the rock in the sand somewhere. And he was gone. And like a day or two later, this brown algae like bloomed in the tank. And I thought for sure that basically I'm like, well, the fish died. I haven't seen it in 2 days. The fish is dead. And this algae bloomed because the fish is dead. And I had to clean the tank and do some different things. And anyway, it was just, my whole family was like, well, that's too bad that the fish died, and the fish is absolutely dead. And I think I held on hope for maybe about 4 or 5 days, but after 4 or 5 days of not seeing the fish, I was like, yeah, the fish is dead. Then yesterday's Wednesday. It was like Monday or Tuesday. I was working on the fish tanks, and my husband came home from work, and I had just been staring at my coral and looking at it and kind of deciding, I think I'm going to feed it and whatnot. My husband came home and I turned around, gave him a hug. We talked for a second, and then I turned back around. And of course, my first thing is I always look at the coral, and right next to the coral was that dang fish. Had just appeared out of nowhere, and it was very colorful. It was like pink and blue, and it was this really pretty fish, and it was just sort of like laying there next to the coral. And I mean, you want to talk about the biggest, I cannot remember the last time I was so surprised like that. And I'm yelling and just, what the, blah, 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 and my husband's like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, there's the fish. And because I hadn't fed the tank for fish in like 9 days. And so I'm like, he hadn't eaten in like 9 days. He looked terrible. He was laying on his side, barely flap his little fins. And I mean, I'm sure he was, you know, malnourished and, you know, weak because he hadn't swam for forever. So I went ahead and I got some food and I tried to feed him, and I just basically hovered over him over the next hour. But what happened was, when you go to feed, turn off the flow, because if you're trying to feed like right in front of the fish, the flow of the tank, the air pushing the flow will just blow that food, you know, all around the tank. And I wanted to put the food sort of right around him so he would have the best chance of eating. It's how I feed the coral as well. So I used like this long pipette thing, and I fed him right in front of it, and he sort of looked at the food but didn't really eat. And then I fed the coral, and then I always wait like about a half an hour after I feed the coral just to make sure that they've pulled in all the food that they want. And then I turn the flow back on because that's important for the tank. And when I turned the flow back on, the fish went berserk. Again, super shy, very skittish. So when suddenly the noise of the flow or the actual flow hit, he just pew, 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 like all around the tank. And he almost jumped out of the tank, like at full pew, like, and that would have been it. I mean, I'm not even sure if I would have been able to find him, to be perfectly honest. But when he did that, he hit one of my, I call them a wave maker. And basically they're just like a fan that blows the air and the water forward. And he hit the bottom of that and then bounced off the tank and then went to the bottom. And that was pretty much it for Fishy. He couldn't get off the bottom of the tank after that. He was kind of upside down or on his side. He'd obviously done some internal damage to himself, and the next morning he was gone. So I removed the fish. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go get another fish today. If I'm up for it after the oil thing with my car, then I may stop by the store that I got the other fish from and try a new fish. I don't know. We'll see. I might wait because I'm really still super focused on the coral and trying to get it to do well. And I think I've finally gotten everything set up, and the coral seems to be doing better. So I'm obsessed about it, just watching this thing all the time. So, but, and I also got, I'm about ready to run out of we'll see how far it goes. But I also got a new betta, and so I'm going to show that later. But I got a new betta fish in my tank. But all right, let's talk about what I'm going to do for this coming week. Honestly, I'm just going to do all the things. I'm going to stitch all the things. I'm going to get everything done. I really want to get moving. I want to work more on the Stormtrooper piece so that we can actually see what that's going to look like. Probably going to do the Ronnie Row for the Stitch With Me this weekend. Like I said, I'm going to take this E Pluribus Unum with me to the car place and hopefully get a fair bit of it done today. Oh yeah, let me see what it looks like. So I hope to be able to get a fair bit of it done. But anyway, so yeah, so I mean, I got just all the projects here. I think come January at some point, I'm going to kind of pull together some different fabric dimensions and whatnot, email Christine over at a stitching shop here in Denver, and have her prepare a bunch of new projects that I can work on in 2018. I think that would be great. One last thing, and if you guys made it all the way to the end of the video, you guys are going to know this, but I'm going to do a giveaway, I think in January. Maybe, I don't think next week, but maybe in January. I got to figure out how I'm going to do it. But when I bought those new Star Wars pieces, I had the option of getting a free new piece, and so I selected one, and I thought, you know, let me just select one, and I'll give this one away. So it is very pretty. It is more of an Easter piece, and I will show that next week and talk a lot more about this then. But yeah, I think I need to get to the car place because my appointment's coming up. So anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. I know it's already passed, sort of. We're in the middle of it. Happy Boxing Day for you UKers. Have fun there. Don't get too crazy with that Boxing Day. And stay safe, stay warm. And I'll see you guys this weekend with a Stitch With Me. And don't forget to check out my blog for my progress. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.